You may look calm on the surface, controlled, focused, even chosen by a higher calling, but deep inside there's a battle, a silent war that very few understand, one that attacks not your body, but your mind, your biology, your purpose. And that battle is lust. Chosen ones often possess a heightened sense of awareness and internal drive, which is largely influenced by their brain's dopamine system. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter responsible for motivation, focus, reward anticipation, and pleasure. In individuals with strong leadership, potential, intense vision, or deep spiritual insight, dopamine pathways are often more active than average. This is not a flaw, it's a neurological advantage. However, this advantage comes with a vulnerability and increased sensitivity to high reward stimuli such as lust. When the brain becomes conditioned to associate certain behaviors with rapid dopamine spikes, it begins to crave them regularly. Lust, whether triggered by imagery, fantasy, or emotional voids, becomes an easy outlet. It delivers a fast hit of dopamine, similar to how sugar, drugs, or social media work. Over time, this hijacks the brain's reward system. The same neural circuits designed to drive chosen ones toward high-purpose goals can become misused for short-term pleasure and temporary satisfaction. This dopamine-driven loop is powerful because it mimics the feeling of progress or achievement without requiring real growth. For someone with intense vision or calling, this false sense of reward can become a dangerous trap. Instead of using that powerful dopamine drive to create, lead, or transform the world, the energy gets redirected into lustful impulses. The mind begins seeking stimulation, not depth. Instead of mastery, it seeks momentary highs. What's even more complex is that chosen ones are often introspective and self-aware. They know something is off. They feel the conflict. They recognize that their actions don't align with their purpose. But the more they suppress or shame the desire, the more dopamine clings to that forbidden pattern. Neuroscience teaches us that what is repressed grows stronger in the subconscious. That's why lust in chosen ones isn't just a moral issue. It's a neurological loop demanding conscious redirection. To break free, the key is not to eliminate desire, but to transcend it. That energy needs a new target. Cold exposure, meditation, focused attention, and meaningful creation can all rewire the dopamine system. When you realize that your lust is just misfired potential, everything changes. You stop judging yourself and start retraining your brain. That's when the battle begins to turn, and your power begins to rise. Chosen ones often carry a deep sense of inner separation from the world around them. From a young age, they feel different, like they don't quite fit into the typical structures of society, relationships, or even conversation. This inner distance, while rooted in purpose and spiritual calling, can also create emotional isolation. The problem is, the human nervous system is wired for connection. When emotional closeness is missing, the brain begins to seek alternative ways to feel intimacy, warmth, or even validation. One of the easiest and most deceptive substitutes becomes lust. Lust provides a momentary illusion of connection. It activates the brain's reward and bonding systems, especially when tied to fantasy, imagery, or imagined intimacy. The brain cannot always distinguish between real connection and simulated closeness. As a result, someone who's emotionally isolated will subconsciously turn to lust as a stand-in for love or relationship. This isn't because they are immoral or lacking discipline. It's because their nervous system is crying out for closeness, and lust becomes the closest shortcut available in a disconnected world. Chosen ones are often burdened with responsibilities, spiritual awareness, or visionary thinking that sets them apart. While that path is sacred, it's also lonely. When the soul feels unseen or the heart feels unreached, the craving for intimacy intensifies. Lust enters not just as a physical desire, but as a coping mechanism. It soothes the pain of being misunderstood. It numbs the ache of waiting for real connection, and in some cases it creates a false story where closeness is always available, though only in fleeting, surface-level ways. This emotional cycle creates a deeper problem. Every time lust is used to mask loneliness, the brain learns to equate intimacy with stimulation rather than vulnerability. Over time, the person becomes more isolated, not less. Relationships feel harder to form, true closeness feels foreign, and the chosen one, meant to walk in powerful connection with self and others, starts to feel like no one can truly reach them. The solution begins with honest awareness. Emotional hunger must be addressed, not avoided. When chosen ones begin nurturing real bonds, engaging in authentic vulnerability, and opening their hearts without shame, the grip of lust begins to loosen. Because what they truly crave isn't pleasure, it's presence. Many chosen individuals possess an extraordinary amount of internal energy, creative, intellectual, emotional, and biological. One key driver of this energy is elevated testosterone or similarly high functioning hormonal activity. This isn't limited to men. Many purpose-driven women also show dominant traits associated with ambition, leadership, and assertiveness, all influenced by hormonal profiles. High testosterone fuels drive, focus, confidence, and the ability to lead and create. But when this energy isn't properly directed, it begins to overflow into areas of vulnerability, and lust often becomes the outlet. Biology doesn't discriminate between divine purpose and distraction. It simply seeks expression. When the internal energy that's meant for building, leading, healing, or innovating has nowhere productive to go, it doesn't disappear, it redirects. And in most modern environments, the easiest, fastest direction is downward, toward lust, fantasy, stimulation, and temporary release. It's not a lack of willpower, it's the misplacement of energy. Chosen ones struggle not because they are weak, but because their inner system is overloaded and underchanneled. This type of hormonal energy requires structure. Without focused physical movement, disciplined thought, or creative pursuit, it begins to leak. The brain seeks fast resolution for restless energy, and since sexual imagery, stimulation, or even thought offers quick neurological relief, the cycle forms easily. The energy was never bad, it was simply untrained. Another layer of the issue is that society glorifies external success while ignoring internal mastery. Chosen ones are praised for talent, vision, and impact, but are rarely taught how to manage the raw biological fuel that powers it all. That fuel, when untamed, becomes a wildfire. It can burn down purpose with the very flames that were meant to build it. Understanding this dynamic changes everything. Instead of feeling guilt or confusion about the struggle with lust, chosen individuals must recognize the signal. Excess energy needs a mission. Cold showers, intense workouts, creative sessions, spiritual practice, and structured habits become essential, not as punishment, but as asterisk containers for power asterisk. When the same biological force that feeds lust is intentionally redirected, it becomes the fuel for transformation. Lust isn't the enemy, it's a sign that greatness is being misdirected. With awareness and discipline, the same energy that once distracted can become the force that elevates. The journey of the chosen one is not just physical or mental, it's deeply spiritual. Individuals who are called to higher purpose carry a light that disrupts darkness, a voice that challenges systems, and a presence that shifts atmospheres. This kind of energy doesn't go unnoticed. Whether you believe in spiritual warfare, psychological resistance, or both, one truth remains: chosen ones are targets, and lust is one of the most effective weapons used to distract, dismantle, and destabilize them from within. It doesn't strike with force, it strikes with subtlety, offering pleasure while stealing purpose. Lust isn't always about desire, it's about disruption. When the mind is scattered, focus breaks. When focus breaks, intention weakens. And when intention weakens, the calling becomes blurry. Lust doesn't attack the body first, it attacks the mind, it invades thoughts, hijacks attention, and rewires the brain to seek short-term pleasure instead of long-term purpose. This is why so many chosen individuals, even with strong spiritual practices or discipline, fall into cycles of lust. It isn't because they don't know better, it's because they're being distracted at the level of the mind where battles are often invisible. The real danger of lust is how quiet it is. It doesn't always come with noise or obvious destruction. It comes with delay, it steals time, it slows down momentum, it makes you question your worth and your vision. And while it gives a temporary high, it quietly erodes the drive needed to fulfill divine assignments. Every minute spent indulging in lust is a minute taken away from building legacy, sharpening skills, or aligning with destiny. What makes this even more complex is that chosen ones often experience periods of loneliness or pressure, making them more susceptible to escape behaviors. Lust provides an illusion of control or relief. But it's a trap, a distraction dressed as comfort. The enemy doesn't need to destroy the chosen one. Just delay them long enough to lose clarity. The power to overcome lies in awareness, recognizing that lust isn't just a personal flaw, but a spiritual interference changes how it's handled. Through intentional focus, deep discipline, and a commitment to the higher calling, chosen ones can break free, because the same mind that's vulnerable to distraction is also capable of unimaginable clarity. When you reclaim your mind, you reclaim your mission. Lust operates through predictable neurological patterns, often referred to as habit loops. These loops are made up of three core parts: a trigger, a behavior, and a reward. For example, a trigger might be boredom, stress, or loneliness. The behavior is seeking out something lustful, whether it's a thought, image, or experience. The reward is the rush of dopamine, the feel-good chemical that the brain releases. This cycle becomes deeply ingrained over time, especially in individuals with intense minds and sensitive nervous systems, like chosen ones. Their minds are naturally more active, and their brains are often searching for stimulation and relief. Lust becomes an efficient solution, but at a long-term cost. The danger of this habit loop is that it doesn't rely on conscious decision-making. It runs in the background. Each time the loop completes, it strengthens the neural pathway, making it easier to repeat and harder to break. For chosen ones who often live in high-performance or high-pressure environments, this can lead to cycles of guilt, frustration, and inner conflict. They know their purpose. They know what's at stake. Yet the loop still pulls them in because it's wired into their neurobiology. Many assume that overcoming lust is a matter of morality or willpower, but neuroscience tells a deeper story. These loops are not about weakness, they're about repetition. The brain doesn't care whether a habit is helpful or harmful. It only knows what is familiar. Unless the pattern is interrupted, it continues automatically. That's why many chosen individuals feel trapped, even after spiritual breakthroughs or moments of clarity. The wiring remains. The way out isn't through shame or suppression. It's through redirection. To break the cycle, the trigger must be acknowledged, the behavior replaced, and the reward reimagined. This might mean introducing cold exposure to calm the nervous system, using breathwork to center the mind, or channeling energy into creativity, service, or deep connection. Over time, new loops form. The brain begins to crave different outcomes. The same intensity that once fueled lust can now fuel focus, compassion, and purpose. For chosen ones, mastering these habit loops is not just self-improvement, it's mission critical. Because the brain that holds their calling must be trained, not just inspired. When they learn to rewire their minds, they reclaim the authority that lust tried to steal. Struggling with lust doesn't mean someone is broken. It often means they're powerful, but untrained. Chosen ones carry extraordinary inner energy, deep potential, and spiritual sensitivity. Yet many haven't learned how to manage or direct that force. When power is unmanaged, it doesn't disappear, it turns inward and creates conflict. Lust becomes the overflow of untamed energy, the byproduct of greatness not yet aligned. It's not the presence of lust that's the problem. It's the absence of training on how to handle what lies beneath it. Many chosen individuals have spent years developing their intellect, their talents, or their outer image, but very little time mastering their inner world. Emotional discipline, nervous system regulation, and energy redirection are often left unaddressed. Society celebrates their external achievements while ignoring their internal battles, so while they may look in control, they feel chaotic inside. That chaos doesn't come from weakness. It comes from power that hasn't been guided into structure. Lust fills the gap where purpose hasn't been fully claimed. This is where the transformation begins, recognizing that the same fire that feeds temptation can also forge discipline. Power doesn't need to be suppressed, it needs to be aimed. The chosen one must learn to convert raw energy into focused action. That's what mastery is, not denial, but transformation. It involves building systems for the mind, rituals for the body, and intentions for the soul. Cold exposure, exercise, fasting, journaling, meditation, breathwork, these aren't just wellness trends. They are tools to train the vessel that holds divine calling. As long as that power stays unmanaged, it will find ways to leak out. Lust is one of the easiest and most instinctive paths for it to follow. But when chosen ones begin to understand their wiring, their energy, and their emotions, they stop seeing lust as shameful and start seeing it as a signal. It becomes a message that says, there's more power here than you're currently using. With the right focus, that power can be turned into love, leadership, creativity, and legacy. So the question isn't whether you struggle. The question is whether you're willing to be trained. Power mismanaged becomes pain, but power mastered becomes purpose. And the chosen are not called to be perfect. They are called to be prepared.